It has been said that the most money you will ever make or lose in a M&A transaction happens during the negotiation process. It is with this in mind that you will certainly need to be or have someone who comes ready to play with the top game for negotiating the sale of your business and its assets. So, what is an M&A negotiation? Basically, it is a strategic discussion that resolves an issue in a way that both buyer and seller find acceptable. A process by which two or more parties reach an agreement which is satisfactory to all and which is implemented within the timescales agreed. All negotiators, consciously or unconsciously, go through a number of logical negotiation steps of planning, inquiring, proposing, bargaining and closing. Let's go through each of these processes in detail. Negotiation Phase 1. Planning process. Negotiation preparation is easy to ignore, but it's a vital first stage of the negotiating process. To prepare, research both sides of the discussion. Identify any possible trade-offs. Determine your most desired and least desired possible outcomes. Then, make a list of what concessions you're willing to put on the bargaining table. You would also need to understand who in your organization has the decision-making power. Know the relationship that you want to build or maintain with the other party. You would also need to prepare your BATNA, known as best alternative to a negotiated agreement, which is basically the most advantageous alternative that a negotiating party can take if negotiations fail and an agreement. Preparation can also include the definition of the ground rules, determining where, when, with whom, and under what time constraints the negotiations will take place. Negotiation Phase 2. Enquire. This is the part of the negotiation when both parties exchange their initial positions. Each side should be allowed to share their underlying interests and concerns uninterrupted, including what they aim to receive at the end of the negotiation and why they feel the way they do. The key purpose is to build rapport and create a positive environment. Most people start an M&A negotiation aggressively via demands and/or threats, which leads to an abrupt end to the whole negotiation process or worst still, frustrating the deal as whole. So avoid hostility under all circumstances, as parties become entrenched in the hostility and are reluctant to be the first ones to move. Again, inquire, explore, listen, and create a positive atmosphere. Phase 3. Clarify. During the clarification step, both sides continue the discussion that they began when exchanging information by justifying and bolstering their claims. If one side disagrees with something the other side is saying, they should discuss that disagreement in calm terms to reach a point of understanding. Phase 4. Bargaining. This step is the core of the process of negotiation, during which both sides begin a give and take, called trading. After the initial first offer, each negotiating party should propose different counter-offers for the problem, all the while making and managing their concessions. During the bargaining process, keep your emotions in check. The best negotiators use strong verbal communication skills such as active listening and calm feedback. In face-to-face negotiation, regularly check your understanding and summarize conclusions. The end goal of this step is to emerge with a win-win outcome and a positive course of action. Negotiation Phase 5. Closing. Once an acceptable solution has been agreed upon, both sides should thank each other for the discussion, no matter the outcome of the negotiation. Successful negotiations are all about creating and maintaining good long-term relationships. Do note that not all auctions result in a successful sale. The seller normally reserves the right to reject any and all bids as inadequate at every stage of the process. Similarly, each prospective buyer has the right to withdraw from the process at any time prior to the execution of a binding definitive agreement. An auction that fails to produce a sale is commonly referred to as a busted or failed process. But if both the buyer and seller manage to negotiate and reach a win-win agreement in bid terms, the seller's board of directors will vote to approve the deal, followed by the definitive agreement being executed by the buyer and seller.